Semi-final time! Yes, we are in the first semi-final of the Ryzing Cup number 8. A best of 3 series, and we have an Undead versus Human. All the way to the top right, Concealed Hill, we have Hawk, and down to the bottom of the map, the one and only, it is Happy. The monster, the unkillable, the one that everybody wants to defeat here. He has won every single Ryzing Cup up to this point. 7 in a row. And actually it got a little bit close for him in the quarterfinal. He went up against Neutron, and Neutron was able to win the first map, but then Happy turned up the heat a little bit and made it a 2-1 series in his favor, and is now playing another best of 3, this time in the Undead versus Human matchup. Yeah, it was an interesting one, and a lot of people actually were hoping for a very different Human versus Undead. They were hoping that Sok might be able to face off against Happy and maybe show Happy how it's done here, but then of course the Korean player had to play with a pretty incredible ping, playing with 300 to 330 ping throughout the entire tournament. Reached the quarterfinal, was able to force Xlord into the third map, but then faced his maker there. And now we are looking at our first semifinal. Second semifinal is going to be Xlord versus Foggy, if I'm not mistaken. That should be coming up right after this one. But I'm excited for this. Hawk has played a pretty solid tournament himself thus far. Going up against Happy then again is of course always tricky. So Archmage is in. And for Happy we have the Death Knight. Happy is honestly just an absolute beast. He's definitely one to, I mean, kind of polarize a little bit. But the guy is just incredibly strong. The last final that I casted here at the Ryzing Cup was between Happy and Foggy, and it was honestly, I mean, it was pretty amazing. Because the interesting part was really that Happy made Foggy look like Foggy never played the game before. I mean, I'm exaggerating here, of course, a little bit. But it always felt throughout the entire best of 5 series like Happy could just take the game at any point when he wanted to. It was pretty incredible. And knowing how strong of a player Foggy is, seeing that gap and seeing just Happy at points just toy with him was mind-blowing, was absolutely crazy. So on a good day, of course, there's a lot of players out there that can take Happy down, but it seems like Happy is having nothing but good days lately. So the guy, insanely strong, best player in Europe, just hands down. And we'll see if he can make it to the grand final one again and win his 8th tournament, or if the semi-final today is the last stop for him in tournament number 8. Well, Hawk is obviously very eager to show him that other players can win this thing too. Currently the tech into Keep, and the Archmage already in level 2. Bit of pressure against the Death Knight, who has now the Gloves of Haste in this inventory. So, yep, the birthday boy is going to get that later, the Lich. If you're the Lich, every day is your birthday. You always get presents. The Death Knight is always the one who has to kind of try and get some stuff for you. And yeah, then that's what happens. Alright, so let's see if Hawk can actually pull it off. It is Hawk time. Let's try see if he can take that down. The spider crab. Give him the clamps! Yeah, that crab definitely had a bit of a vendetta with the Archmage, as you could tell. I mean, it really seemed like it follows the Archmage. Anyway, there. Happy already looking at level 2. Ooh, lost vision for a second. Yeah, that footman dies regardless and brings him to level 2. For just a moment, it seemed like the footman could get away. The life of a footman. The second when you have still hopes that you might make it out of that, and you're just like, oh my god, I got it! You run around the corner, your opponent can't see it anymore, just to be a second later eliminated anyways, because the death coil can't be evaded. So I like that what Hawk is doing right now is obviously just positioning properly, trying to make sure that there can't be a coil. In this case, he actually played this quite nicely. Experience was had, so he grabs that. And yeah, just zones out his opponent, gets a couple of extra hits in. Keep tech is nearly done. Goes into the rifleman play, of course, the one base setup for him. Whereas also Happy has started to tech into his own tier 2 a little bit earlier and is now about to reach the Halls of the Dead. A little bit more creep action towards the right side, with the water elemental starting to take charge and therefore also pulling aggro and getting the hits here. But there we go. Frog on the map. Yeah, never underestimate frogs. There's nothing worse actually in Warcraft 3 than if you're all of a sudden getting body blocked at some point by a frog or a critter in general and then you lose. Happy walks over, says thank you very much for the water elemental, takes that one down, and I guess we're going to see at least one of the footmen fall. The slow doesn't really help him. And yeah, poor footman. Doesn't even have to send the coil. Ah! Did he actually get the experience for this one? I think he did. But looked for just a moment, like it could have been a deny, but no, the experience was had. So yeah, Happy is starting to migrate around against the Rifleman though. It's the first one that joins the fun here. And Hawk is still getting auto attack after auto attack in against his opponent. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have any kind of items that would boost that auto attack damage a little bit more. Being it the Gloves of Haste to weave in a few of additional ones, or maybe even Claws of Attack +6. Obviously after Water Element. Ah, nice deny. Well done by Happy. Uses his skeleton to take down the other one. Keep tech into castle, and also the Mountain King is going to approach, whereas Happy is taking into his Black Citadel, and the Lich is on the way. So, if you think about it, both of them with a very similar strategy here right now. One of them plays Fiends, the other one plays Rifleman. Both go into one base ranged units. There's always just the ring around the rosy play, with Happy, of course, looking for those moments when he can send in a death coil like we just saw to get the few last hits in and secure the experience for himself and his hero. Maybe bring the Death Knight to level 3 a little bit quicker than the Archmage can reach it. And it's actually amazing to think about the fact that the Death Knight indeed has more experience than the Archmage right now. And since he's already starting to focus with the Fiends now onto the shop and then creeps that up, Archmage is going to fall farther and farther behind, so the Death Knight is going to hit level 3 very likely first. Gets sentry wards here, actually moves away, which means the experience is going to end up on the Lich. A little bit of scouting over to the right side. On the left, on the other hand, the Archmage is now creeping together with the Mountain King. Okay, gets a replenishment potion, and the Archmage can definitely use that. Does though immediately. In terms of items, we have a couple of rings dropping, but there's a little bit more Lich action at the bottom of the map. So not really the most aggressive game that we're seeing so far. Both of the players are just tagging into the 3. Both of the players are currently playing with a couple of range units, trying to get their heroes crept. We had a couple of skirmishes, nothing too crazy. Mostly Happy, trying to be aggressive and sneak in some death coils to steal the experience away. At the same time, of course, also a bit of a harass attempt earlier by the human player. But Hawk and Happy are just both in a spot where they're just saying, okay, let's save the big battle for later. A lot of those Fiends are still incredibly low, have been microed nicely. Of course, if a creep jack hits you now, you are in deep trouble. But once those statues come in, then it's all about heals. And talking heals, we have a Ring of Regeneration on top of that, so that's going to benefit the heroes nicely. Also, Lich now with the items, as already mentioned earlier, gets the Gloves of Haste, has +8 damage out on the damage output. A bit more creeping here in the middle of the map now also by, Hawk, where's the Legion Doomhorn? Aura luck for him. Level 3 on the Archmage. And at the same time, top side, let's see what's actually going to happen with that. Hawk has now completed that. Arcane Centrum is in 2. Down to the bottom right. Happy the first one to go for one of the red Drake spots. It would be kind of incredible if Happy loses a Lich to creeps. That would honestly be slightly fantastic. Dark Ranger's coming in as the 3rd hero now for him. And over up to the top, as you already guessed, the Paladin is being played. Both of them with pretty much just agreement to not attack for a little bit longer. Lich needs 3 for the Nova. A few more creep spots over here towards the right, where Hawk is trying to get another Rock Golem down. They're actually pretty close to each other here. When it comes to the items, we now have the Belt of Giant Strength for the Lich. It's honestly one of these weird things where you kind of want to have the item on the Lich just simply so you can increase the hit point pool and he doesn't get as easily nuked by a Stormbolt and Holy Light combo. Whereas at the same time, in theory, it would be beneficial to the Death Knight because not only do you boost the hit point pool, but you also increase his damage output. But as it happens, the squishiness of the Lich alone just demands that you try to boost his hit point pool a little bit more. Mountain King on level 3 in particular is of course going to make that necessary, since that level 2 Stormbolt is dropping the hammer quite literally, and he has also now a Potion of Greater Mana in the inventory. That comboed off with the Aura is actually a bit nuts. He's gonna fire Stormbolts the entire time. If you come from Heroes of the Storm, the only thing that's really needed there is a nano boost so that you get also a little bit of cooldown reduction and a bit of a spell boost, and you're just firing Stormballs 6 days to Sunday. If you get cooldown reduction at any point here, then you could just absolutely murder and just kill heroes instantly. Potion of invulnerability in the hands of Happy. Yeah, that Lich is not gonna go down anytime soon unless he messes up. And even more creeping is happening. Heroes, very similar. I mean, that Paladin on level 2 is already worth a lot. He was trying to go for the Red Drake here. Can't get it though. But the expansion is now being built. So far it hasn't really been scouted out. So Happy doesn't really know that it's there. But he can, of course, he's of course anticipating that at some point there's at least going to be an attempt on his opponent's side. And there's already a destroyer trying to get some additional pressure up. In terms of items, nothing else really been bought except for lesser invulnerability potion for the Death Knight as well. A little bit more creeping happening all the way up towards the top now. Archmage would of course love to have level 4. Level 2 aura would be great for him in general. But here we have it. The attack against the expansion. Happy sees it, Happy goes, and Happy starts to murder those peasants. Yeah, all 5 of them down. That base is going to be heavily delayed. Dark Ranger is on level 2 now, so has also access to the next... that's not going to be cancelled. Clutch. Wow. I mean, first of all, I think that Happy is a little bit annoyed that he didn't get it. And Hawk is just sitting there and he's just really like, whew, clutch one. Yeah, he needs to get a few units over and needs to get them over quickly. That he didn't cancel it in and of itself is a miracle. I mean, the nerves of steel. Seriously. That was a ballsy one. Just saying like, yeah, that's fine. It's totally fine. That's totally fine. I calculated it through. He has 3 fiends with the random damage. Yeah, there's no way. But the problem is this is still, of course, in danger of being taken out anyways. But yeah, more creeping. And we have in terms of items. What did he actually get over here? Who grabbed it? Honestly, I think I missed him taking the Red Drake earlier. My apologies. Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, I'm sorry. We actually have on the Paladin, first of all, Talisman of Evasion and Sobi Mask. So he actually got the Red Drake after all. He didn't get the rest of the team. But, yep, 53 supply. So already low upkeep for Hawk. And 49 for Happy. Happy in the main base is currently adding some additional Banshees. And so he should. But here we go. Stormbolt comes in. Where's the Holy Light when you need it? Well, not in just yet, but we have the Death Coil. Happy isn't risking anything, but he's starting to also run low on mana on the Death Knight. There's another attempt. Good burrow from Happy. Micro rules, and one of the priests is down as we are still looking towards Hawk as he's trying to take that apart. But also a bit of an aggression up at the top with a couple of summoned skeletons that he has, and that means that those peasants are again endangered. There is no reveal at all available to Hawk now, which means that all of these burrowed fiends are still happily surviving. There's another attack, and in comes the Death Call. This time he couldn't use Burrow, but it doesn't really matter. He's already turning it around against one of the Riflemen, which quickly gets staffed back with the Staff of Sanctuary. Up towards the top, the attack is still in, and guys, these guys are gonna rip everything apart if given enough time. At least one statue falls. Happy's at 1,300 gold now. I mean, yeah, he has a lot. And Hawk just simply sent over more cannon fodder. He needs to save this eventually, especially since we have already a couple of ghouls walking their way up towards the top. So all of those peasants are incredibly low. What Hawk is currently trying to do is, of course, ensure that there's no expansion attempt on Happy's side. And currently he is confirming that at the bottom right there is no attempt to go into another base. The problem is that those ghouls are going to absolutely wreck this one, especially together with the Dark Ranger. They are going to shit on this natural. But the main base, that's a different story, and that's going to force Happy to react one way or another. I mean, natural, attack at the natural is fine. No problem with that, but you have to deal with this one too. So Acolytes are immediately being rebuilt, a ghoul is already down, and what he's going to try and do is just force him to retreat here. The problem is that Happy actually doesn't even think about retreating. Instead he just says like, hey, if you take my base, I take yours. Have fun with that. And that's already pretty much every single peasant that was there eliminated before he moves back towards the base for defense. And there's obviously now an exchange in portals, which means that those ghouls are going to fall, but that was definitely a solid trade for Happy. He took a huge amount of those peasants down. When it comes to experience, then, we still have a level 3 Paladin now. And we still have 2 base against 1 base. And despite the fact that Hawk lost a huge amount of peasants, he still has enough to saturate 2 gold mines. So, as long as Hawk sets up a bit of a defense, could still be totally fine here. There's another 4,000 gold in the gold mines, so we're not talking about those being depleted anytime soon. But here comes Hawk again. Hawk is at 54 supply. Happy is at 49. It's not a huge difference between the two, but there is, of course, a massive difference in the income that we see for the two players. And he's starting to attack. Up towards the top, that scout tower is soon going to be upgraded in the main base. He also needs to try and go for a couple of additional defenses, but it's honestly going to be a bit difficult for Happy to deal with all of this if he doesn't pay attention, because yeah, he's starting to go for a drop play at the natural, and that might actually force the human player to retreat here again, because that base doesn't really have a lot of hit points in the first place. But that altar is also down, and there's the town portal. Town portal exchange, and that's just gold getting traded. And that is a play that Hawk can honestly make all game long. He's the one with the second income. Happy doesn't have that. So Hawk is actually in a position where if he has to trade, he can. And Happy at some point can't afford that anymore. Right now it's fine. But in the long run, it's going to be a bit of an issue. Now, there are, of course, the Banshees, and Happy is still trying to go for the aggression. But Hawk, as you could already see, he didn't waste a second after he TP'd. He immediately said, alright, back to business, let's do the same thing again. And he's moving in against the Black Citadel. And Happy is now moving up to the top and tries to once again take those peasants down. The problem is that eventually he has to move back. And right now he has that town portal, but the Acolytes get obviously destroyed within seconds. And that Black Citadel is starting to fall in hit points, and it's falling heavily. It's down to 50% HP. And peasants are being killed. We're seeing also attacks against those obsidian statues. This one is backed into a corner, quite literally. So he loses a statue, and he has to portal back. He's trying to take every single peasant apart before he does that. And that is, of course, worth a lot of experience for him. But there's the move back, and the TP back to safety for Hawk. Trades the entire time. Portal for portal, portal for portal. Over and over again. Couple of peasants are currently left defending against those lesser dark minions. But Hawk is now sitting at 53 supply, and Happy is right now at 46. So the situation hasn't really changed all that much. Happy is still on the no upkeep and gets full value out of every single Acolyte, whereas on the other hand, Hawk is still on low upkeep with his two bases, which still in theory gives him the better income. But here comes the next attack. And he obviously also had to rebuild a couple of those Acolytes too. And that Black Citadel isn't looking too hot. There's the drop play on the other hand. He's playing all around the Dark Ranger right now, making that play happen, and tries to get more lesser dark minions in so that he can absolutely take this base apart and shred the income. And so far that's working. The thing is that Hawk is just relentlessly attacking. He's just going for it. Over and over and over again, saying like, I have to be the one who starts attacking. I have to be the one to apply the pressure, or you're just going to take me apart as is. Staff of Sanctuary is in. We have also an orb, by the way, so he goes straight into the Orb of Fire, and he's again just trying to take down that Black Citadel. The Coil Nova approach forces the Mountain King back, and this time the Acolytes are actually safe here. We have by now 2 Spirit Towers in the base. Talking bases, up to the top. Guys, that Dark Ranger is murdering it. Running out of mana now that the Arcane Tower has taken it down, but look at the amount of Dark Minions that we have here. And all of a sudden, Hawk is on the back foot. Hawk is all of a sudden the one defending. The entire time he was trying to do the exact opposite. He was trying to put Happy in a spot where Happy has to be passive, where Happy has to defend, where Happy can't make any plays. And simply with Dark Ranger drops on level 3, and the earlier attacks taking down some of the defenses, now we have a situation where, on a hero level perspective, it might not be a bad move, but he even has to use now Storm Bolts in order to take those skeletons down. Can afford to do so because he has the Aura on level 2. Mountain King is on 4, Death Knight is on, Paladin is on 3, so he has decent levels here. But Happy is just starting to really harm that income. He has a Scout Tower, and the drops just continue. Staff's back. Okay, that Stormbolt is connecting. Goes also straight for a bit of bash play. Fire Orb. Nice, I like that. That was actually a good move moving in him here. Yep, staffed him back, and I can now try and deal with that. In the long run, the double income is going to be fantastic for Hawk. If he can stay alive, that is. And the drop is in again. Drop is in. Dark Ranger's trying to make the play. Mountain King can't really decide where to go. Left, right, left. It's a tough decision to be made. Alright. Fire Orb again. Stormbolt connects. Dark Ranger is taking a little bit of a beating. But gets at least 1 minion through. And this is starting to become an issue for Happy. Can't afford to lose that Zeppelin. But he attacks the expansion now. And this is where the shit really hits the fan for him. Death Knight now, of course, also with the anti-magic shell. The Banshees are helping out with that. The drop's still on the right side. There's only one single rifleman to try and deal with it. Has a little bit of anti-air. And Happy has crossed over into the low upkeep too. Still 1,400 gold in his own gold mine, but 8,800 at the natural and 2,000 in the main base. Yep. There's also the staff back of the Dark Rangers. She joins the fun. Happy might lose this, guys. Happy might honestly lose this. Hawk has so far done a good job. He's pushed into a defensive position then eventually by Happy. But Happy's running out of time. His base is eventually going to run out, and now that the drops, at least for the time being, have stopped, that gives Hawk a little bit of time to just set up a good setup in the main base, to just saturate those bases again. Now there's obviously the fact that they are still on even supply here, but with a few more moves from Hawk, where he just buys himself time and puts Happy on a defensive spot, he might be able to just build enough for him. Just saturation is there. Hawk needs a little bit of lumber, so he still needs a few more peasants, and he's already having a sum over on the left side to try and make that play. But this is not necessarily... Like, Happy might actually lose this. He's starting to look at a much worse spot all of a sudden. With only 800 gold left, Hawk has a great position now. Those drops were a problem. They really were. The Dark Ranger on 3 was a massive issue for Hawk. And then he used the Mountain King and dealt with it. Yeah, and there's the kill. There we go. That's the Zeppelin down. And there's the expansion attempt from Happy. I mean, it's the only real play that he can make, but obviously Hawk anticipates it. I mean, duh. What else is Happy going to do? There's two options that he have. Either go YOLO and go for the attack, or build an expansion. And Hawk is scouting this. And once he scouts it, he knows that he has a great timing opportunity here to take his opponent down. Hawk is at 68 supply, Happy is at 70. Happy has a big army. There's 2 0 attack upgrades now for Hawk. And he has the items on top of it, of course, too. We're looking right now at 1 Scroll of Healing. He could buy a little bit more. His income is definitely looking better. 71 supply for him at this point. Starting to build a few more riflemen. 2 bases saturated, double income. And he can go for the shop if he really wants to. And Happy, as you can tell, is now all of a sudden sitting down at the bottom of the map. The entire time before, he was always trying to go for drops. He was trying to go for counter-aggression. And he killed a huge amount of peasants. I mean, it was a slaughter. But Hawk never broke. He definitely bent a little bit and he had some trouble there, but he never broke. And there's a bit more scouting happening into the main base. Also, of course, ensuring that nobody is coming across this path. There's the unsummoning already as the income is low now. And in we go. Hawk wants to go for the finishing blow, but Happy has a big army. Happy's at 70 supply. No matter how much income Happy has at this point, this makes him dangerous. 3 attack upgrades and 1 armor upgrade also put him into a spot where his units have the superior upgrade count. The armor upgrade is in for Hawk, but there's the attack. It has a lot of anti-magic shells here. That's going to make the nuke nearly impossible. But they're starting to go for the attack. In we go. Base is already being built. So now all of a sudden we have the second income for Happy too. Once that he completely saturates it, which he does now. This is the important fight right now. And it's starting to be a little bit dicey. 65 supply on the side of Happy. On the other side, Hawk is looking at 65 too. They're just dead even when it comes to that. The Banshees are falling one after another though. The entire setup of the human player is focusing onto those backline casters and take them apart. Dispel everywhere the entire time. The focus fire against the casters. They are unarmored. The piercing damage is rippling through them on both sides now. 59 supply for Hawk. Happy is at 61. The fight by no means over. Heroes absolutely crucial right now, and we still have the Mountain King with the Potion of Greater Mana in the inventory. They have a lot that they can use right at this point. But the army is actually falling apart a little bit. Hawk is at 57 supply, and Happy is sitting at 58. That Death Knight is nearly hitting level 5. Another coil saves the Fiend all the way up to the top, and we have more units coming in from behind. The reinforcements for Happy as another Banshee joins the fun. Level 5 Death Knight, and Hawk has to use the panic button. Portals out just as a coil ripples through another rifleman. Hawk down to 47 supply. Happy at 58. Hawk still with 1 base mining, but now he's again at a defensive. Happy has 11,000 gold in that base. Hawk has only 6,300. The fight was lost. Better upgrades for Happy, and he's looking at a level 5 Death Knight and nearly a level 5 Lich. Ooh, baby. Yeah, Happy doesn't waste any time. He has the superior army now, and he moves through. The hero levels are looking better and better for him. Hog, it looked like he had a chance, but it's Happy. And Happy wins the fight, he micros his heart out, and now he makes a final push for that expansion. And this time it seems like there is no way for Hog to deal with it. He's trying, but there's level 5 for the Lich, and all of a sudden with 2 level 5 heroes, that Archmage is just cannon fodder. That Paladin will have to just heal over and over when those nukes hit home. Happy still saving the Fiends here, even Militia moving over now to try and save all of this. The Nova in the low HP units, and another Priest dies, and of course there's some minions, Dark minions everywhere at this point. The Dark Ranger is on level 4, and this is brutal. The peasants, they all fall, and there's the skeleton after skeleton that spawns, and you just don't have enough priests around here to go for that much dispel. It's just not happening. There's still enough mana for another coil in a second. He could use that to put more pressure onto the Archmage or just simply save a unit. Fiends are being microed in the back. One goes finally down. But right now, the Paladin on level 4, can he really do enough? It doesn't really seem like it's going to happen. There's the kill attempt against the Archmage with 3 hit points. He saves himself with a potion. There's the heal from the Paladin, but I mean, he doesn't really have a lot more. That's 3 heroes remaining, that's it. He's down to 30 supply against 49, and mining for Happy is still strong, whereas up here everything is just falling apart. The Rifleman is just running the entire time. The peasants, they're still mining, but this is not looking good for Hawk at all. Not anymore. He's trying to go for a hero kill. If he can get a good bash through and maybe then a Stormbolt and Holy Light follow-up, kill a hero, that might just be the ticket back into the game. But Hawk is struggling here. He's way behind in supply, 20 supply less for him. Attack after attack is coming into the peasant line now, and once that he doesn't have any mining anymore, it's just lights out. Another attempt to go for a kill. The bash connects, but Hawk is pushed back. Way too hard. Another Stormbolt. He tries to go for the snipe over here, but he can't get it against the Death Knight. Oh, the coil! But the Staff of Sanctuary saves the Paladin, but of course it also removes him from the battle. The Stormbolt is just not enough to seriously pressure the Dark Ranger. Or is it? I don't think he has mana for a coil. No, he does. Just enough for one. Just enough for one coil to save the Dark Ranger. Oh, of course. There's no mining for Hawk. He doesn't have any mining anymore. He can't build reinforcements. Happy is happily building more units as he still has that mining, haunted mine at the bottom of the map. And yeah, it's just slowly and steadily a painful death here. Coil Nova, the save as the Paladin just arrives in the nick of time to save his bearded friend here. But is this really going to be victorious for Hawk? I don't really think so. I mean, he's fighting a valiant fight here and he hopes for a lucky punch. And if he gets that through, then maybe, but now we have also the Dark Ranger on level 5. Death Knight is on 5.5. And there's just Hawk trying to somehow get something done here. By the way, the 3rd hero on the side of Happy has now a higher level than the 1st hero of Hawk. That's where we're at right now. And that base is falling. The base is down. 59 supply for Happy. Hawk is at 29. That's a 30 supply lead. The only thing that can maybe bring you back now is, as I said, a lucky punch against one of the heroes. That's the only thing. Nothing else is going to be enough here. Uses Burrow, and Hawk is just microing his heart out, but honestly at this point it's a losing battle unless you can kill the Death Knight. And it doesn't feel like it's gonna happen. There's a huge amount of sustain. I mean, don't get me wrong. He has at least that. And thanks to the mana sustain through the Archmage, he at least was able to get his heroes cast spells all the time. The Sobi Mask, of course, helps too. But now all of the heroes are starting to run slowly and steadily out of mana, and that means that he's just even further on the retreat. So, yeah. Losing more hit points. Happy, saves his own units here. Has enough for another Nova if he wants to. And, well, could set that Nova up against maybe even the Mountain King here. Keep in mind that that Paladin is incredibly low on mana. And Hawk is just retreating. He's falling farther and farther back. The base is already down. At this point, honestly, the question is simply, why is he still staying here? He has 3 heroes, and I guess if he gets the lucky punch, he has a chance. But with the anti-magic shell the entire time and more banshees in the background, the chances of that happening are pretty much slim to none. Yeah, his mana on the Death Knight now, it's all around cooldown plays here. Puts the pressure onto the Paladin. More and more retreat. Inch by inch, he has to retreat into his own main base. It is just not looking pretty, and Happy is just increasing his army size. He's sitting at 63 right now. Yeah, you're not going to make the play on this one. There's more fiends coming in. There's a couple of banshees, of course, coming through, and the magic shell is being cast the entire time. We have 3 statues in the back, and this base is still mining and mining and mining and mining. Nothing stops that. It's like a Duracell battery. Over here, though, Mountain King nearly on level 5. I mean, again, Stormbolt level 3 would be worth a lot for him. And Hawk is still believing in his chances to maybe get something done here. Even moves over to the Fountain of Health to try and play that through. But, yeah, it's just not looking like there's a chance for him. Upgrades are still 3-1, so Happy didn't invest into additional upgrades. Didn't really have to, but as you can already see, he is doing a lot with at least the anti-magic shell here. There's another Staff of Sanctuary. He can push into this now if he wants to, and Happy is building another base. Happy is saying, like, I don't know what's going on here, dude, but you're not going to win this game. No matter what happens, I'm going to make sure that I have the resources to outlast you, whatever happens here. The sustain that the human player has, though, with the heroes is nice, but here's the attack against the Archmage, and that could be the end. But no, the Paladin had the mana, gets another Holy Light through, together with the priests, the paladin, and also now the Fountain of Health. Hawk has finally found a position on the map where he has a chance against Happy's army. It's an uphill battle, quite literally, for Happy at this point. Well, not if the human player moves down. If Star Wars taught us anything, is that you don't yield the high ground, dude. Stay on the high ground. Star Wars was good for one thing, and that's to teach us that if you have the high ground, you always win. So stay up there. It's the only position that can save you the game. Especially if you're having your Archmage even eating more damage now. And the kill! And that's game. Archmage down, and that is, of course, the end of it. 13 supply for Hawk. 60 for Happy. Yeah, he's trying a desperate attempt to take the Lich down, but the Mountain King dies. Level 6 for the Death Knight, and that is game, as Happy takes the lead in the series against Hawk. GG, and well played. Game on, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to shine. We are looking at our second game in the best of 3 here, and currently our player starting to the top right, the Undead, is in the lead in this best of 3 series at the semi-final of the Ryzing Star Cup. On the bottom left we have Hawk, and for a few moments, for just a few, it looked like there was light at the end of the tunnel. Hawk trying to win the game, playing a bit of a ring around the rosy setup against Happy, just going for portal after portal as both of them attacked the opponent's bases. But Happy just outlasted his opponent here and was able to win map number 1. Now we're on the second map, and up to the top right, Happy starts in red again. 7 Rising Star Cups in a row were decided in Happy's favor, and he is aiming for number 8. He has a lead in the semifinal. Semifinal number 2 will take place between Foggy and Ixlord. Once again, it's actually also kind of nice because we have the rematch of a series that already took place in the Ryzing Cup number 6, to just give one example here. But yeah, Happy is just Happy. It's incredible. Honestly, at this point, the Ryzing Star Cup has pretty much mutated into who can beat Happy Cup, and the answer so far has been nobody. It's kind of interesting. It's a little bit weird because if you like, it's amazing how far ahead this guy is. But it will also be a question if that is going to still be the case with Reforged. Reforged is going to change things up quite a bit. I mean, if you think about it, Warcraft 3 is obviously a really, really old game, but there's a lot of hype around it. China has never really let down on it. The game was an absolute masterpiece on the RTS sector together with StarCraft from Blizzard's side. And Reforged is definitely going to give the game a little bit of a boost. Personally, I'm on the opinion that a lot of people expect a little bit too much from Reforged, and that Reforged is not going to have that massive boost on the game that a lot of people expect, but it's obviously definitely going to increase the player base a little bit, and also the attention that the game will receive. And for quite some time there will be a lot of tournaments. There's going to be more prize money involved, which also means that more players will be able to focus more onto playing and maybe dedicate a full-time pro gamer career to Warcraft 3 for some time. The question that arises together with that is simply, how long is that rise in attention going to last, and how sustainable is it going to be in the long run to be a player that focuses either full-time or at least a huge amount of the time to playing the game itself. And once that's the case, Happy might actually start to see more players emerge that will be able to take him down, or at least make his life a little bit more difficult. With esports in particular, it's obviously always a big question also where exactly you live, how high the living costs are. If you live in a small town in Russia, it's definitely going to be easier for you to sustain yourselves with prize money that you make in WarCraft 3 than if you live in California, in the US, for example. Cost of living is just a completely different setup here, so that plays a role in all of this. And yeah, Reforge might change things up a little bit. It's a pretty interesting dynamic that's going to happen here, especially since RTS, as much as it has fallen out of fashion a little bit, despite the fact that StarCraft 2 is of course still around and WarCraft is still highly liked in China, but generally speaking, RTS has fallen out of fashion a bit in other games, or other genres have taken over there. But of course the skill level involved on high-level RTS players is still pretty incredible, and was one of the most enjoyable in my personal opinion. But, well, we'll see. 24 supply for Hawk right now. There's obviously the early game harass happening as usual. In this case, it was also the attempt of the human player to be a bit more aggressive on the setup towards the top right and put his opponent into a bit more of a difficult spot. But Happy is trying to lock in a bit more experience for himself, so he gets the Unholy Aura. That nearly backfired. Coil came just in a bit too early, and of course in an ideal world what Hawk would have tried to do is get the last hit in with either Water Elemental or Archmage. That did not quite work, but he is at least buying himself a little bit of time with this. And this is always the beauty of it, that macro aspect that you have in the early game already when you try to go for a two-pronged plays. With one hero, he harasses his opponent's creep attempts, while he at the same time also buys himself a bit more space to creep with his own units and get some more experience for himself. And those early on moves and the experience lead that comes with it can make the difference between you running a level 3 talent, a level 2 talent on a level 3 hero, or a level 1 talent on a level 2 hero when it comes to one of the first few fights. So yeah, that's always highly important here. And the Archmage is ahead. Archmage has a little bit more experience than his opponent. We have again Hawk heading straight into the Keep tech, has also the Rifleman underway and the Mountain King now being trained in the Altar of Kings, similar of course on Happy's side, who in this case heads into the Black Citadel tech before he starts training the Lich in his Altar of Darkness. But we're gonna see the Lich one way or another. Slaughterhouse also now being produced, and Happy is currently just completely content with just moving around on the map and trying to creep a couple more of the important spots, especially now that we're looking at the Augur Magi on level 5. He can grab up a few more items, but there's a creep check! And that's actually exactly what he could potentially use here. We also have a Scroll of the Beast now in the inventory of Happy. At the least, that's a fair amount of gold, but just look at that Death Knight. That Death Knight is taking a beating. Yep. Quite low, 144, and that's already annoying for Happy, because that means he needs to be a lot more careful around that bad boy, especially once that we see the Mountain King enter the stage. And yes, now that the Mountain King is here, you need to be careful. Coil could still come, but he doesn't want to risk anything, so that's a Fiend down. That is a decent start for Hawk. That's a really decent start. I mean, I'm pretty impartial to who's going to win here, but I got to admit that I would not mind the best of 3 series ending up with all 3 maps being played. So if we go the full distance here, that would be pretty sexy. Now the Unholy Aura has of course a couple of effects, and one of those is that you have better hit point regeneration, so that at least is going to be useful for the Death Knight. As long as he doesn't have to take any aggro here at the creep, that's going to be okay, but with less than 200 hit points you always have to be careful, because as I said before, if that Stormbolt hits you, it's lights out. You can kiss your dead life is Death Knight dead or alive? It doesn't really matter. You can kiss the Death Knight goodbye if that happens. Now there's nearly level 3 at least for him. That's also of course going to give him another quick boost in HP. Lich is also on the map now, and thankfully for him we have the first Obsidian statue also in play. Tech into the Black Citadel is nearly done. Down to the bottom of the map, you guessed it, Castle is being produced, Arcane Vault on the way, and Rifleman is now also in. But the good thing for Hawk was that with him pressuring the Death Knight as much as he did and nearly getting him killed there, he also could start to focus a bit more aggressively onto the exposed spots on the map. If you have the map control, you will get away creeping a lot, like much better spots than your opponent. And Happy had, because of that problem, to focus at the top of the map and creep the safer spots. Whereas, yeah, now with nearly level 3.5, Wouldn't exaggerate to go on to level 4. But we have the middle crept by Hawk, and now he can just safely fall back to creep the bottom of the map. So that creep route that he now chose is pretty much only possible because he was able to put so much pressure onto the Death Knight. And because he was able to set that creep check up. If not for that, he would have more of a problem with all of this now. And he's already setting himself up to not only get most of the experience onto the Mountain King, which is now also on level 3. Gets the Gloves of Haste, by the way, on the MK. Both of them, which means that once we have the big fight happening, Bash is going to proc a lot more often. And thanks to the Stormbolt and the setup, we see the Orgolot fall. And that is a Legion Doomhorn. Nice! That's actually a lot of item luck for him too. Gets the Aura item. And, yeah, top side, happy where we're at. Currently looking at 39 supply. Has the tier 3 tech completed. Third hero is going to join us soon. But when it comes to hero levels, yeah, Hawk is looking a little bit better here. Then again, you're going up against Happy. It honestly feels like every single time that you talk about someone, it's a little bit like it's a little bit like football. Football is a game where you have 11 players on each side. The game is the ball is round and the game lasts 90 minutes, and at the end of the game, the Germans win. And if you're looking at WarCraft 3, you have, on the one hand, Happy, on the other hand, you have an opponent that has a huge amount of advantage, and as the game ends, Happy is still successful. So those are pretty much truths that exist in games as it stands. But right now, with another aura coming through, and this time actually the Devotion aura, so the Paladin doesn't have the skill into that, which he probably wouldn't have done anyways. But right now, there is an actual big chance for Happy to maybe find his maker in this game. I mean, he dropped already maps in the tournament. Maybe there's a chance now. So, what's gonna happen with that? First of all, Gnoll Overseers are being attacked now. Hawk wants an expansion, I suppose. I guess soon enough. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Also, for the love of God, for the love of the God that I don't believe in, take those tombs. There we go. The Mountain King. I always knew that the Mountain King was a scholar. I mean, seriously, he has that intelligent look in his face where you just can tell that he's a little bit of a bookworm. It's not the Archmage. Archmage is just like a little bit of a pretentious guy that tries to claim. He's pretty much that hipster guy with glasses that is not really reading anything. But the Mountain King, that's the real deal. Yeah, Unholy Aura. Sorry, not Unholy Aura. Lightning Storm with Devotion Aura plus also Crystal Ball. A little more creeping over here on the right side to get also the Paladin to the next level, or at least a little bit closer to it. Level 3 for him would be big as well. That Mountain King is going to fire away not only with Bash, but has also now the Orb of Fire in the inventory. And the first Staff of Sanctuary is in too. Expansion play is in. Happy still trying to catch up in experience. Let's go. Top side. The Dark Ranger gets the Helm of Valor. Captain America wants his helmet back. But here we go. Level 3 for the Dark Ranger. It's kind of funny how both of them are just simply saying like, yeah, let's just not attack for a while. Let's just creep. But the pattern, the creep pattern was, as I said, a little bit advantageous for sure for Hawk. And he has now the one with the expansion. On the supply side, we have 50 supply for both, so it's no upkeep on both ends. Upgrades, one attack upgrade for the Rifleman, and the Fiends are currently sitting at +1, 2. For items, still the Scroll of the Beast here. Health Stone in the inventory. And just a little bit of scouting. But here's the first little setup in attack. A little bit of poking and prodding for Happy as he says, okay, what you got, buddy? Let's see if I can actually take down a couple of those units in the backline. And that's the first minion, the Dark Minion that spawns, which means that he could still take down a few additional peasants. And he does! Micros that too, so gets 2 peasants with this. And there's the Dispel, as at least that one's taken apart. But there's even more heading straight into the natural. So obviously Happy knows what's going on now. Has seen the main base, has seen the natural, he knows exactly what's up. And now he needs to deal with it somehow. Obsidian statues are already in. I guess that Hawk is currently feeling pretty comfortable because he has 2 heroes on level 3 that really need it, aka the Paladin and the Mountain King. And his Archmage is already on level 4, which grants him next to the level 2 water elementals also the Aura. So he is totally fine. 1-1 upgrades for him now too. And Happy is again looking for drops. There's one destroyer over. It's a trap! Baiting him to the right. Master plan! While dropping straight down into the main base. Let's see, those two, yeah, not really done in time. If you're a peasant and you're going up against Happy, you always live a shitty life. The question is not are you gonna die, the question is just at what point in the game are you gonna die. Ah, look at that! That paladin is a bro. Actually went even for the heal. Heals a peasant, nice. You know, a lot of paladins are real snobs. They don't heal peasants. No, they're just saying they're not really worth it. They save their mana for the units that really matter. But this paladin, what's his name? Yeah, he's a buddy. Bazon the Fearless. I mean, you can tell he's fearless. Has no problems healing a peasant up. That's how you make friends for life. But talking about making friends, it looks like Happy wants to make a few more friends over at the Natural, where he's going to try and take a couple of those peasants out too. Happy is just, he's staying in the no upkeep. Happy is staying in no upkeep. Hawk has already crossed over into low upkeep, but for Happy it's just one base play, harass the shit out of your opponent, just bunker enough money to open up a Swiss bank account and go for a little bit of tax evasion, and then at some point just produce as much as you can. Stormbolt connects. A little bit surprised that he never at any point turned around and killed the Arcane Tower. Even saves the Fiend. And that one could be repaired now, and indeed is. Alright. And with Hawk now at 59 supply, how's Hawk gonna play this? He still has the items, so far still everything is fine. Death Knight is like, yeah, I think we should retreat here. The Death Knight is already on the run, but Happy is playing the safe, and he actually started to invest and head over into the low upkeep himself now. So all of a sudden, we have more Banshees being played. Anti-Magic Shell is going to be crucial, again, in those fights. Upgrades, still the 1-1. I guess we should see another upgrade here in the main base, not so much. Over on Happy's side, 2-0 upgrades, all on the attack now, as the first destroyers in. And it's time to shine. Hawk is at 65. So Hawk is... I mean, the entire map has pretty much been crapped empty. There's like one... There's no creeping left anymore, with the exception of like a small spot over here, but that's about it. So it's all about just items. Going to the shop, selling some of that stuff. Gets the Book of Retraining, so we're going to get some Blizzard action in. And also Skull of Healing. But the next fight is going to be the big one. And this is where Happy just has to crush through this. And the question is simply, can he really pull it off? But having the Anti-Magic Shell ready is of course such a game changer for him. I mean, this is literally what he's waiting for. Because once that's the case, it's just so much more difficult for the human player to get any kind of nuking against either heroes or fiends through. And yeah, for Hawk it would be great to get another base being built. But he just keeps scouting. Just keeps scouting the map, and Happy is going for it. Happy is making his move. Lot of items on his part. And here we have it. Attack against the tower. That one is down, of course, within seconds. That was never in question. Here comes the Blizzard. That doesn't do anything here as long as the Anti-Magic Shell is still a fair. And Mountain King on level 4. Mountain King of 4, and here's the attacks. But immediately just microing the units back, especially the priests are in danger here against the piercing damage of the fiends. But nicely done by Hawk. 62 supply for him against the 64 for Happy, and of course the Staff of Sanctuary is already being used here. Stormbolt is in, and he starts to put the Death Knight under some pressure, but he's not on level 5 yet. 4.5 for him. Good items in the inventory to keep himself alive throughout the entire fight, especially of course with the Health Stone. Good coil on the Dark Ranger. That was nearly a kill here. If that cooldown is back up to business, he might be able to take her down after all. Where is that Stormbolt when you need it? He's still silenced, can't break it through there. We have 66 supply for Happy. Hawk is falling low a little bit, is trying to use those healing wards, but they get instantaneously taken down by the Undead player, and he's already pushing the fight back as we speak. Fiends are dropping as they're using Burrow, but still get hit by the Blizzard. And now that most of those anti-magic shells are gone, there's at least a chance for Hawk to do some damage here. He's trying to move in with it. Good Blizzard once again, but that Paladin is incredibly low already. Needs some heals and is retreating towards the priests. Up at the front, the Mountain King still with the Potion of Greater Healing in the inventory. Stormball against the Dark Ranger, and she actually gets the Health Stone from Happy. Yeah, caring is sharing, baby. That Death Knight is a good one. Didn't even have to be used here. But Hawk now at 61 supply again. Happy at 63. And again, the base is still mining. You have to also, as usual, to consider that there is a big difference actually in army supply between the two players. Hawk might walk away with a total supply that is superior to Happy's, but his army supply is always going to be lower, because at the end of the day, Happy just has to account for the 5 acolytes up here and maybe like 1 or 2 ghouls, and that's about it. But Hawk has a lot less army supply because he has a shit ton of peasants. I mean, it's 10 peasants alone just looking at those two gold mine lines. And then on top of that, you have, of course, the lumber peasants as well. Yeah, another attempt over here. Finally, one of the fiends goes down. That, on the other hand, is again this Dark Ranger harass that we've already witnessed in the previous game, and has does absolute wonders. And the same trend continues. Level 4 for the Lich as it gets upgraded. And Hawk has to destroy his own base in order to get through. Yeah, a wall like that is fantastic to stop harass. The problem is if your opponent is just dropping into the back of the base, that's not going to do a whole lot for you. Over here, a few units come in. That Dark Ranger, not really going to be in trouble, is it now? There's at least this spell ready, but can just always teleport out as long as the Mountain King is not with her. That's not an issue. Hawk is starting to move towards the top, but there's no base attempt yet, no expansion attempt by Happy. Instead, he's starting to drop again. And that is getting... again, for Hawk, this is just horrible. This is really horrible. He double-checked that there's no base over here, but now he's just TPing back, and he takes it! He takes it down, forces the town portal, was already used, the Fiend is dead too, so he gets the Zeppelin, and he gets the Fiend. Baits the town portal out as well. Hawk on 59 supply, Happy still one-basing it with 70 supply now. And as usual, Happy has to win with this, because he doesn't have a second base. He will set it up soon, since he's running low on gold in his main gold mine. But the same is also true for his opponent. But, of course, given the fact that there were a lot of peasants taken down throughout this entire game with the harass of Happy, there's still a little bit more ready for Hawk. So he has nearly double in his own gold mine, and he still has access to the expansion, where we now have 65 supply for Hawk. And Happy needs to make a move eventually. Potion of Mana in the inventory for the Paladin. So he's going to have a lot more with that. It's going to definitely help during the next fight. When we talk about the Mountain King, he never had to use that Potion of Greater Healing in the last fight, so that's still something that he can rely on. Archmage, he's a little bit naked. Doesn't have a lot there. Staff of Sanctuary is a good start. We have, of course, by now 2 of those. One of the Paladin and another one on the Archmage. And Hawk is just scouting. Hawk is the entire time just thinking, where's that expansion? Where's Happy trying to set that expansion up? But Happy doesn't even think about expanding. There's no Haunted Gold Mine that he's building. Instead, he's just going for the main base again. There's a quick staff back. Okay, Staff of Sanctuary has been used there. Trying to stop the attack. Mountain King is there and is already putting the fear of the Storm Bolts into the heart of any Undead unit, which is why the entire army just rushes away. But with 64 supply against 76, you can tell that Happy is way ahead in the army supply. I mean, way ahead. You shouldn't get caught as a rifleman on the map if you're up against Happy. Actually, quite surprised that we didn't see an immediate snipe against that. But in they go. They try to go for the Banshees. 1 down, 2 down. They're trying to kill them as quickly as they can so that the anti-magic shell is not going to be an issue any longer. And it's also the only units that he pretty much can attack. Riflemen are also about to fall though, so that's another problem. 1 down, the second one gets focused, but the Paladin is there with a quick and saving heal at the last second. The problem is that Hawk is already on the way back. He's on the back foot. 61 supply against 72. Army supply is a totally different matter, but he's trying to go for the hero kills instead. And the Lich nearly fell, but the Death Coil is there and saves his ass. So now more attack against especially the Mountain King right now. But of course the expansion is also open. He's just driving the human player away from the expansion. And if he sends a few of those units over there to take down the peasant line, then he can maybe interrupt the entire income of Hawk. And Hawk is fighting back as much as he can. Silence comes through from the Dark Ranger again. Of course, the Acolytes at the top are starting to make their way over towards the expansion to build the Haunted Gold Mine that Happy always sets up when he's running out of gold there. So one is already in. Down here, though, the fight continues. It's just poke and prod the entire time. Supply numbers are pretty much the same still. But there's a huge focus now onto those priests again. And with all that piercing damage, the priests don't stand a chance. Yeah, another save against at least one of the riflemen since getting staffed out with the Staff of Sanctuary. Stormbolt, and the Dark Ranger gets out. 825 hit points on the Dark Ranger alone, but the attack is in. 59 supply for Hawk. Happy is at 73. The attacks keep coming. Mana is starting to run low. Also, the Dark Ranger is starting to be in a bit more trouble than she initially was. Another attack against the Rifleman. 1 down, 2 down. Nicely done. Gets 2 eliminated. That Paladin running out of mana is an issue. Didn't use the potion of mana there, though. And of course, the turnaround from Happy, because he says like, hey, why would I follow you in the main base? I have that juicy expansion right behind me. And now that the Arcane Tower is down, have fun dealing with those skeletons, first of all, and try and get access to that. He's going to take every single peasant down here. That's experience in his hands. That's also denying the opponent income. And Hawk will have to reinvest into workers, which is so many problems at the same time. Good bash, by the way. Great bash. Perfect bash. Yields him a statue. Archmage is not on 5 yet, but he's close. That Death Knight, on the other hand, has reached 5 already a while ago. And that level 3 coil is ripping the Sorceress apart. Another Sorceress down. Banshee gets also killed though, so it's not only Happy that is slowly but steadily sneaking in 1 unit kill after another. Hawk is also able to pull that off, but he's at 57 supply now. In the main base, gold mine is down. So the income for the 2 players is actually identical right now, since this base is mining. And it also means that we are seeing Hawk run out of resources now quicker, because his base has been mining for a much longer time. So Happy is again in very... Happy is pretty much... Honestly, he's nearly in the same position that he was in the last game. It's a super similar one. And again, Rifleman focus. 1 down, second one gets nearly taken apart, but the focus shifts to the priest and drops it within seconds. And he's now taking down another one in the back, and that drops another Dark Minion. There's only so much mana and so many dispels that Hawk can use here. Happy is still at 70 supply. The number just doesn't change. And in the meantime, Hawk is losing unit after unit and is looking now at 54 supply. And again, that's total supply. That's not even army supply. He has so much supply stuck in his economy. That's going to be tricky. I mean, just look at the amount of the peasants that we are seeing here at the natural. And the flank comes in and he is just murdering him. Happy, like a sergeant wielding a scalpel, is using his fiends and the focus fire damage that he has to go through 1 unit after another on the human side. And he is just always finding another target, spawning another Dark Minion too, and he's taking them apart one by one. Loses Banshees in the process though, and once the Banshees are gone, at least that anti-magic shell is not an issue anymore. But can he really get a hero kill through? That's the big question. In the last game he wasn't able to pull that off. Maybe here he has a chance. Another Sorceress falls, and well, we see only Rifleman remaining and 1 single priest that could also be dropped within seconds. There's still mana on the Lich, and then Nova is used to take down one of the Riflemen. Of course, he has also the Dark Ritual ready and uses it right away to replenish at least some of the mana. With the statues that he has there, it's not only the hit point sustain, but also the mana sustain that helps him to stay in that fight. And he's using all of that to push Hawk back again. And Hawk is running out of peasants over here. Those are the last ones that he has, and they are getting just crushed. Absolutely crushed. Peasant after peasant goes down. Crypt Fiends are starting to focus them, and it is a disaster. Oh, that's on the other hand an issue. Yeah, but the Death Knight gets away. Doesn't even have to use that bloody health stone, and the Archmage gets sniped. And that's the end of the mana aura. Archmage down, Happy at 74 supply against Hawk's 44, and this base is done. The days of this base are numbered. This is not going to last much longer. Without the Archmage, without the mana supply, those heroes and those casters are going to run out of mana so quickly. They have just no chance there. A few Stormbolts are left, and he needs a kill. He needs a hero kill, and he tries to get it, but the anti-magic shell is once again ready. The Lich is on level 5. The Death Knight is on level 5. The Dark Ranger is currently on level 4. Soon going to level up to, I think. Yep, just a few seconds, and they are just crushing through that base. Hawk is down to 33 supply. Happy is sitting at 80. Still mining. There's nothing left for Hawk. The only thing that Hawk has to decide at this point is if he wants to write GG in caps or not. And he goes for the YOLO move. He goes into the middle, he goes to the tavern. It's the only thing that he has. Oh my god. If that Death Knight would have been closer, I think we would have seen another quick snipe against the Archmage and a potential insta-kill against him just as he comes back. Yeah, well, here's the pressure. Hawk needs that lucky punch that we talked about earlier. Has trouble even taking the Fiend down and loses another Rifleman in the back. Yeah, he's dropping more and more in supply. He's down to 34. It gets finally level 5 on that Archmage. Finally. Down here, base is gone, only a farm remaining. And Hawk is pressured back into the base. Upgrades, 2-1 for him. Tons of units for Happy. Happy is at 78. 3 attack upgrades on the Fiends, just an armor upgrade. And he is just crushing. And that Paladin is running out of mana now. So now we're finally in that spot where the Paladin is going to struggle to keep this army alive. And there we go. Nova in, provides the slow. He gets the quick kill. 2 more riflemen eliminated. 28 supply for Hawk. And Hawk, I mean, he is honestly a glutton for punishment. He's just sitting there and he's taking it unit after unit, and it's just incredible. Happy with a shift in focus every single time that Hawk is trying to micro a unit back, but that is just a cleanup job now. There's already level 6 for the Death Knight, and he gets the Archmage again, and that's it. Archmage down, and he's going to lose everything. There's the GG of Hawk as Happy takes him down with a 2-0 victory in the semi-final. Happy once again moves on to another grand final of the Ryzing Cup. GG and well played.
A town is under siege.